Sadiq Khan is with us here in the studio. Lots to talk to you about, Mr. Khan. Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us. But
Pleasure.
first of all, I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the mum and baby that were carried out of the Mariupol maternity hospital. I mean, lots of tears shed, not just in Mariupol and wider Ukraine, but right around the world this morning for that young woman.
Well, it shows in the worst possible way the consequences of Putin's actions. There are consequences in relation to the suffering that we're seeing in Ukraine. 2.4 million Ukrainians have fled Ukraine, many not able to, and we're seeing the consequences of Putin's aggression. That's why it's so important for the rest of the world to be united in relation to our condemnation in unequivocal terms about what Putin's doing, but also providing
support.
It's a war
crime, without question.
Oh, without doubt, without a doubt. And some of the evidence we've heard and read in relation to the allegations of the weapons used, some of the targets that aren't allegations, we know some of the targets, civilian targets, according to the definition, is a war crime.
The Russian embassy in the UK here, in your city, said that was fake news.
Well, look, I think it's really important for us to push back in relation to what the Russian embassy is saying, what Putin's spokespeople are saying. I'm reminded of Comical Ali during the previous war and outrageous behaviour. It's really important for us not to accept what's been said by spokespeople and puppets of Putin and push back.
Comical Ali, of course, who was the spokesperson for the government at the time. I think everyone who doesn't even know that name can figure out why he was called that. Are we doing enough for Ukrainian refugees here in the UK, and what are you doing in London?
Well, firstly, I'm full of admiration for those Londoners who really are stepping up to offer their homes for those who will be leaving Ukraine. Councils are really able, willing to step up. Hotels are willing, able to step up. Businesses are willing, able to step up. There's two big parts of the equation missing, though. One is for the government to provide a simple system of allowing people to come to London and the UK. And secondly is the certainty in relation to support we need. I'll give you some of the examples. Some of those people in the images you've shown who will have seen that in real time in Ukraine will be coming to London and will be traumatised.
Of course.
So the wraparound support is really important in relation to medical assistance, in relation to helping the schools take some of these children, in relation to the support needed around housing. And so as soon as the government can speed up the visa process, speed up people coming here, but secondly, provide the certainty of support, the sooner we can start rehousing those who are so desperate in relation to their own safety and that of their family too.
And what do you say to those who say, we can only take a finite number because we're an overpopulated little island and we don't have enough room?
I think you've got to distinguish refugees, those who are seeking asylum, those who are leaving a war zone, which is what Ukraine is, with the concerns people have. Look, I think Germany's taken more than 80,000 people. France, Italy, Spain, taken tens of thousands of people. When you compare and contrast what we've taken, it's embarrassing as a proud Brit. But
Prime Minister says we've taken more refugees than any other country in Europe.
Well, I don't want to accuse him of being Comical Ali, but it's just not true. I mean, you heard yesterday a member of the Cabinet accepting that the number of visas processed, not the numbers who have arrived, visas processed is 3,000. I on Friday spoke to a number of colleagues across London to get an idea of how many have arrived, because you can get a good feel from speaking to council leaders and those across London. At best, a handful. At best, a handful have arrived. Even those processed is less than the numbers we know have arrived in mainland Europe, from Germany to Spain, from Italy to France.
Yeah, I was looking at some figures this morning, actually, which suggested that, and these are just figures, that per refugee per 1,000 population here in the United Kingdom, I think we were behind Sweden, Italy, Greece, Germany, France, but the Prime Minister says different.
Well, also listen, I mean, the Prime Minister has done a really good job, actually, to give him credit, speaking to President Zelensky on a regular basis. That's really good. We've got to walk the walk now, and we've got to show evidence that we are willing to, lead by example. That includes, of course, providing the support in relation to the donations, support food and medical supplies and defensive weapons. But it also must mean providing a home, a safe sanctuary for those who haven't got a safe home in Ukraine.
And some women in the capital don't have a safe home, are not safe when they're on the streets. What are you doing about that?
Well, I say quite clearly and unequivocally, I think we've got an epidemic of male violence against women and girls across our country. Over the last 12 months, 127 women killed at the hands of men. I think that we've got to recognise and accept, I accept as a bloke, men and boys are responsible for the sexism, the inappropriate attitudes, inappropriate behaviour that is linked, in my view, to male violence. And so we've begun a campaign today working with brilliant football and rugby and sports clubs across our city. And there'll be at half-time today in the Crystal Palace versus Man City game, the first premiere publicly of the video. And it's asking men to, have a word with themselves, reflect on their own behaviour, have a word with their mates, challenge their mates. They may think it's banter or just some jokes, but how it's received is very, very different. And the concern we have is it starts with inappropriate attitudes and behaviour and leads to a situation where, 1 every 3 days a woman is murdered by a man across our country. That's not acceptable.
What hope when those that are supposed to uphold the law rape and murder women?
Well, that clearly is unacceptable. It's clearly unacceptable. And that's why it's so important that the new Commissioner of the Met Police Service not only tackles the deep cultural issues that leads to too much sexism, misogyny, discrimination in the police, but also wins back the trust and confidence of women in particular and other minority groups in the police service. We police by consent. It can't be right that many women and girls aren't reporting crimes as victims because they lack confidence. Witnesses aren't coming forward, and it's so important for us to have that policing by consent model backed up by demonstrating that the police understand this is an issue and are taking steps to address it.
Where are we, forgive me, as far as a new Commissioner is concerned?
So the Mayor's Office is working closely with the Home Office in relation to the new Commissioner, the appointment of the new Commissioner. I know from previous experience it does take a few months. The current Commissioner has agreed to stay on for a little while to help us with the handover. There will be a period from previous experience where one Commissioner goes and the Deputy Commissioner takes over before a new Commissioner arrives. But the key thing is the Home Office and I work closely together to appoint the right person for what I think is the best but most difficult job in policing in our country.
Who will be telling us the results of Partygate? Will it be this Commissioner or the new one?
I'm not sure. I deliberately have stayed out of the operational matters in relation to this for good reasons. I'm a Labour Mayor. Serious allegations against a Tory Prime Minister. I've not asked any questions of the current Commissioner about the investigation because I don't want any impression being given of me interfering inappropriately. OK, I suppose I asked the question because we don't know how much longer it's going to take before we get those results. Yeah, I mean, listen, many of us are frustrated by the delay. I think if the choice was delay but the right result or speed and the wrong result, we'd choose the former rather than the latter.